Broxah.
Yeah, I guess I'm here. Casting Jankos. What a world that we live in.
I know, right? It was only a few years ago that you were on the stage with him. Athens 2019, I remember it fondly.
Oh.
You don't?
Not Athens.
Anyway, it's great to be here. I'm Medic, that's Broxah, and we are here for your first 2 games of the day. Broxah, it has been a little while since you've cast, so I'm just going to get you in with all of the current lingo. Currently, we're talking about whether dragons have feathers, also talking about how many stacking champions there are in League of Legends, and if Heretics is on the cast, every now and again he'll put in a Crikey or a Core Blimey mate. So those are the things you have to look out for. Obviously, the teams are going to play as well, and maybe we'll focus a little bit more on that.
Okay. Well, I'll see if I can keep up. I mean, I know you're a bit of a top-tier analyst yourself at this point in time, so...
It's so true, you know.
It's going to be hard to match you.
Talk about shifting, gating, opening through mid, running it down. Very important one to be able to talk about. Anyway, we are into draft there. Obviously, our draft's pre-recorded as you see the players getting ready on stage. BDS banned away. Senna, Kalista, and Vi. Smolder, Ashe, and Olaf removed by Heretics. And the first pick is Orianna for Eve.
Yeah, I wouldn't say there's any particularly big surprise so far. You could see Orianna 2 wins and 5 losses, which is not particularly impressive, but generally it's just a, you know, solid blind pick in the mid lane. Heretics picking up Rell, a champion that's looked great for Jankos. Could consider locking in their mid lane as well, which could be a Neeko, a Talia, perhaps a Karma, depending on which direction they want to go.
Yeah, we'll see where Survivor wants to go. Has been having some success on that Neeko. It's the first time we've seen Nuke on Orianna here in Spring. It has been banned against BDS in about 60% of their games as well. And I think BDS have struggled with the Azir. The bugs that mean that Azir is currently disabled, because Nuke was so often an Azir player and it so often was able to make plays for the team in the middle and the late game with it. So we'll see if Orianna perhaps is able to band-aid that issue. Zeri and Rell locked in for Heretics. Rell, that flexibility means that you're not revealing too much of your hand early on, which is always a benefit.
And if we look at Ice in particular, so far this Spring Split, he's really only played Zeri and Aphelios. Could be looking for the Aphelios here. Something else we've seen a lot of people play is the Varus, but I like Aphelios in terms of scaling and team fighting. You can match Zeri's power. And I mean, with Orianna, Aphelios, you're certainly not getting outscaled.
Definitely not. Those late game team fights already have a lot of zone control as well. Wonder if BDS will look towards their support here. I think jungle might be a slightly easier pick. Support less likely to be fully banned out on the second phase of bans, and jungle can be pinched quite heavily, can't it, Broxah?
Yeah, and you also got to keep in mind, Rell has been taken away, Vi is already gone, but Sheo, comfortable going in the basement. He's already played lots of different jungle champions to split, in fact. 5 different ones, maybe a number 6 incoming here.
It's going to be interesting to see how BDS round out the comp. I guess with Orianna and Aphelios already in the lineup, you don't really need much more damage from the jungle. You just need a tank, and tanks are, you know, 10 to a penny, really, when it comes to jungle picks. There's the Neeko once again for Heretics. Still don't know if that Rell is going support or jungle for them. Jankos had a lot of success on the Rell, did lose his game on it, but I believe it was 4-1 with all of his team's kills. I wonder if we'll see him piloting that once again. Into the second ban phase, though, with likely mid laners and bot lane picked up entirely. The bans can be much more targeted in this phase.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised seeing some top lane bans. It is Adam on the other side, removing a Nocturne, perhaps considering a Darius ban does make sense. But you also need to keep in mind that Heretics is red side, meaning that they will probably showcase whether Rell goes the jungle or support on 4, log in the other jungle support option, and make sure that Wunder doesn't get counterpicked by something crazy.
Yeah, you give Wunder R5, make sure that he is in at least a safe spot. Not seen as much of a carry player, but he can carry his team by absorbing pressure a lot of the time in that top.
Oh, I remember his pike top.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty spicy.
If we're going back to MSI 2019, sure, he was great then.
Hey, that's what I played. That's what I remember.
And 5 years later, you're on the caster desk, Broxah, okay? So maybe those heydays are behind some of us.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I cut you deep.
There goes the confidence.
Cut you deep, Broxah. I'm sorry, man.
Anyways. Sinzao removed from Sheo. I think it does make a lot of sense in terms of team fighting. He does fit in really well with the rest of BDS's team comp, and could also potentially indicate that this Rell will in fact go to the jungle role. If it does go jungle, there's still plenty of support options available for Trimby. Nautilus is an example. They could even go the Blitzcrank route if they're feeling a little spicy.
They definitely could. The Lee Sin ban away from BDS means that they're not quite sure that this Rell is going to the jungle. But I will say, if you pick a a dashing support here, someone that wants to engage. Poppy is looking mighty fine for BDS as a pick in the jungle here. It's so powerful into these compositions that really want to get onto the backline. Obviously, Zeri has a bit of an easier path because he can just become a minion and walk into the middle of the enemy team. But things like the Rell can really struggle into it. Even Zeri, who is trying to, you know, dash around with that, he can get locked up with it, at least in the laning phase. Nocturne, though, locked in for Heretics.
It's my lucky day. I was staring at that pick for a little while, hoping for the best. I like this Nocturne pick a lot coming out of Jankos. There's 2 immobile carries on the other side, and Orianna and Aphelios. That's easy targets. Thresh does have the lantern, but if he's not standing real close to his allies, Nocturne can still catch them off guard.
Yeah, he definitely can. That paranoia does a huge amount of work. BDS now taking their time thinking about what's likely to be a jungle or, well, it's definitely a jungle or a top lane pick. Can pick the top first. K'Sante, he does it all, doesn't he? A little bit nerfed, obviously. Still powerful, but not as OP as Showmaker once made him out to be. Still can just carry through that top lane, but provides you safety as well if you are on the weaker side of the map.
The one thing they need is engage. BDS has none of that right now, and there are a couple of ways to get it from the jungle. You could go for something like a Maokai Sejuani that Sheo has played already. It could also be a Jarvan, a champion that started becoming way more popular. But we'll see. I certainly hope they will have engage of some sort, because otherwise it might be hard for them to, you know, get the game going.
If you were playing this composition on the stage, what would you want to pick as the jungler? Sejuani is locked in, but would you be looking towards that, or would you be looking towards something with a little bit more damage itself?
I think there's 2 ways to go about it. If you lock in something like a Sejuani or a Maokai, you're like hyper-scaling. You're going to be great in team fights. Like, look at them. It's going to be a fantastic comp to peel Aphelios and Orianna, and it's really helpful when there's a Nocturne on the other side as well. If you wanted a bit more power in the early game, it could have been the Jarvan. But at the same time, I like having a clear identity, and it's really clear how BDS wants to play. The main goal for them now is just going to be to survive in the early game, get the scale for free, especially against the double global. That might be a little tricky.
I will say I'm slightly surprised. I didn't expect Wunder to be the player to bring out the Twisted Fate top. So far this split, he's played Aatrox, Wukong, K'Sante, Gragas, all very good enablers. Aatrox as well can do a lot of damage in fights, but can provide that utility as well. Twisted Fate has a lot more on his shoulders, right? He needs to be a carry as the game goes through. It's the first time we have ever seen Wunder on Twisted Fate in competitive play. I'm sure he's obviously cracked out a few games of it in solo queue, especially with how powerful it was. It was basically printing LP as easily as TF prints gold in the game.
I like it a lot here, because no matter if he matches K'Sante or Orianna late on side lane, he's going to have a lot of pressure into them. Sejuani with either of the 2 is not particularly scary either, so essentially Wunder, close enough, just gets the scale for free, and he can have a lot of impact on side later.
Is there ever a risk when, well, I mean, there is a risk when you pick something like a TF in the top lane that you can just be focused by the enemy team in the early game? Obviously, Sheo has a lot of things on his plate. Like, do you go for mid lane because Orianna's low mobility, and if she burns her flash early, you have to protect her? Do you go bot lane because it's Aphelios and you want to get him fed? Or do you just try and shut down Wunder in the early game so that he never really gets that money printing online?
You also need to keep in mind the Twisted Fate was picked on red side, and now in the new season, red side is a lot harder to gank. He has this huge wall next to top lane that gives him a lot of safety. So essentially, he just needs one little wall in the river, and he's near ungankable. Twisted Fate also usually plays with both Fleet, Footwork, Ghost, and Flash. So, you know, you would think that you can run him down because he's a pretty squishy troll mage, but
we'll see. Let's see what happens. Wunder very good at absorbing the pressure in the top lane. Let's get on to the first game of the last day of week 2 here in the LEC. We are past the halfway mark of the split. Currently things looking a little bit different than they did at the end of last season. Fnatic at the top of the table alongside G2 and Vitality. BDS sitting pretty in the middle. Seems like Mad Lions, Koi and Rogue very much at the bottom. Heretics have had a very good start though. 3-2 right now. Lost to Vitality, lost to G2. But those are the teams at the top. So if you can beat a team like BDS in this middle of the table clash, you really accelerate yourself towards one of those higher seeds coming into playoffs.
Yeah, and right now with the state of the LEC, anyone can still make it into playoffs, take the top spots, and now, big game on our hands. I'm really wondering exactly what Heretics' plan here was. We saw Jankos walking directly to the top lane, level 1, placing his ward to provide a bit of safety for his top laner, but you know, Wunder is against the K'Sante. It's not the particularly most scary lane, but you see Wunder here respecting. K'Sante was indeed trying to cheese him, and mission accomplished. They avoided it.
Yeah, it makes it a lot safer for Wunder in that top lane, but it also means that Wunder in the ranged into melee matchup can also ward this bush closer to his side of the lane and mean that Adam has to push himself all the way back to the furthest away bush if he wants any safety in that lane. Often, a melee champ will dash in and out of the bushes to try and go out, get a CS, dash back into the bush, you can't be harassed. But when the bush is warded, it's a lot harder to do that. So it gives Wunder a little bit more priority in the lane. Adam coming to the lane later as well. We'll see exactly how that top lane matchup goes. Flakked and Trimby here looking for Labrov. The Ferromancy goes a little bit short. Labrov, haven't seen if he's gone Flay or Hook first. Often you do see the Hook, but Flay into a lane like a Rell, when she jumps in, it just makes it so much easier to pull her back, and she's already really slow, and you're slowing her down even more. It can be very hard for Trimby to navigate those fights. Ice and Labrov with the push should be able to get level 2 first.
We see Jankos here starting on Raptors, pathing to bot side immediately. Generally, when you have a top laner like the Twisted Fate and a bot lane that you can't really influence early as a jungler, you just want to find a path that can take you to top as soon as possible, make sure that Wunder is able to push out top safely, and once the top lane is set in stone, you have a bit more freedom. Of course, it's also a Nocturne, so the general goal is going to be to hit level 6 as possible. Small thing he did that is worth to keep in mind for the junglers out there. He did Raptors, then Grump, and then Blue, meaning on his second clear, Grump and Wolves, oh well, mostly Grump really is going to spawn sooner, he has Blue up for longer, and it just makes the second clear a little more efficient.
And making sure that you get those respawn timers at a good time is something I think is often overlooked in the jungle when we just look at it at a surface level, because it's just like, oh, just take the camp that I see, you know, I just want to get all this gold as quickly as possible, but making sure you accelerate that gold can be very powerful. Sheo looking for the mid lane, as Survival has to flash away. Sheo flashed himself. In the end, it's just Summoner for Summoner burnt.
I think if that was last year, this gank probably would have given them a kill. But nowadays, mid lane has so much safety, it's so easy for them to get back to their turret. And what we're seeing from Sheo here is something that a lot of junglers in the LEC have started doing more, skipping a camp or two to try to be really proactive and get something done on the map. And I think when you play Sejuani into Nocturne, that does become even more important, because once that Nocturne hits level 6, you lose 1v1, it's going to be hard for you to make plays because Nocturne can always counter gank, and Sheo is just taking advantage of the fact that Sejuani is a very strong little free gank, trying to force. Problem now being that he didn't achieve much. Survivor has no flash, but Jankos is up 2 camps, he has Raptor spawning, Grump is coming up soon, so he's in a great spot in Nocturne.
Yeah, he called it out, Broxah. He's just able to do that clear, go Scuttlecrab, look towards mid lane in case he needed to protect his mid laner, but now has the Razor Beaks, can go over towards that Grump, and it just accelerates his path through the rest of the game. Wunder as well with about a 200 gold lead in the top lane. Ice and Labrov have been able to get bot lane prio though, and that plate means that they are slightly healthier in terms of gold than their lane opponents. See the reset coming out from Jankos, he'll go back. Already had himself a longsword and a ruby crystal, get some boots alongside it, and now is making a beeline for the bot lane. This wave will push in to Flakked and Trimby. Sheo's probably just looking to counter any gank that might occur from Jankos, because he knows Jankos is pathing to him towards this bottom side, or can at least expect it. Hasn't seen him on vision, but you can kind of anticipate it. Like, guys, he did his Grump second, he's probably going to be down here. Hook lands, there's the Lantern as well, and instead they just look for Trimby. Caught out, Ferromancy shield enough. Jankos comes in to dissuade BDS from any further action, but good trade there. Trimby didn't burn his flash or his ignite though, and Labrov did use his ignite.
And if you're Heretics here, you're definitely happy about the position you're in. For them, it's mostly about surviving the early game, with bot lane losing slightly early, Survivor obviously having no flash, and Wunder being on a pretty immobile and easy to gank Twisted Fate. So, you know, them surviving all these ganks coming out of Sheo not only makes it comfortable for them to scale into the mid game, where the comp can really shine, but also Jankos is just having a free early game and now is 200 gold up simply by just farming.
Yeah, he's over half a level up as well. You can actually see the XP. There's little pink lines next to, oh, never mind. Next to the player's portrait, it shows you how close they are to the next level of experience. Wunder already up to level 7. Jankos about a level ahead of Sheo, or about 3/4 of one. The grubs were started, one secured by BDS. Obviously, as a jungler, you do love to get at least one of the grumps because it gives you that extra XP, that extra the gold as well, and means that your jungle item, your pet that you are feeding a treat to, is a little bit closer to completion. Have you ever named the pet, the jungle pet?
I usually just call them Pokemon.
Just like, Pokemon?
For me, it's, you know, just a bunch of little Pokemon. You make your starter choice, you you know, you choose whatever your preference is. We have a Charmander and a Bulbasaur in the building here. Maybe Squirtle's going to get some love in the next one.
All right, when it gets to 20, does it then become a War Turtle and Ivysaur? Or do you just,
Yeah, I would say so. It evolves, it becomes strong, powerful, makes you feel more powerful as well.
Good to know, good to know. I'd give them names like Vedius. Or
which one is Vedi?
Vedi is definitely the blue one, because he's really active, but doesn't actually provide much in a fight. He's just like zooming around everywhere.
Okay. I'm not going to comment on that.
Green is Dagda, and red is probably Jankos. I think that's what I would do as jungler. BDS, though, setting up with the bot push that they've had this entire game, and because of that, they can get a dragon. It's about the 7-minute mark, not the quickest first Drake we've seen, but does mean they are stacking up towards that soul.
And generally, if you compare Void Grubs to Dragon, if both teams get one of each, in this case, Heretics get 2 Void Grubs, BDS gets a Dragon, BDS is going to be happier. But if Heretics can then get 5 Void Grubs and start contesting in the next Dragon, things will slowly change. The way you should look at it is just Dragon generally is better, but getting Void Grub is not so bad. It's still a camp, it gets gold and experience, and obviously in a comp like this with Twisted Fate, who's just going to be sitting side lane and hitting turrets, the Void Grub damage can make a difference.
Positioning here for Adam is really tricky as well, because he knows Jankos came in to steal away this blue. Jankos clears away the control ward that was there, but with the wave shoving away from Adam, Wunder can just hold it if he wants. I mean, Adam would have to overstep. That's why he goes over, checks to see if Jankos walked out of the bottom side of the jungle, sees that he does so, and now can go back up towards top lane.
And the reason Jankos didn't stay for Grump wasn't because he was worried about Adam killing him. It's because if he's not bot lane right now, his bot lane is going to be in a disastrous situation. And you can see it right here, BDS. They knew Jankos wasn't blue. They make a really aggressive counterplay bot side.
Jankos has
paranoia. Now Heretics are just defending more than anything. Because Jankos has been farming so much and Sheo is 20 CS down, Jankos is already 6. BDS is going to have to respect and wait for a better opportunity later.
Adam goes all out, Wunder pops the ghost, and just walk away from this. It's a summoner for an ultimate exchange. Wunder will just probably look to clear out this wave, then base. Might look for a destiny somewhere on the map. Jankos has that paranoia. The combination of the two globals as well. One kind of hiding, obscuring the other, makes it so difficult for BDS to actually find proactive plays when Jankos has that possibility of being anywhere on the map. Jankos was pinged. Is he just covering
He's sitting on top of a wall, I believe. Yeah. Adam warded that exact spot early, and that ward was really beneficial because not only did it help Adam confirming where Jankos was, but if Jankos was to greet for the Grump, it would be easy for them to, you know, just jump him and kill him, essentially.
Just collapse onto him. Jankos still, though, doing a good job of keeping himself ahead in gold, in CS. Top lane ahead for Heretics as well. Not only because of the 20 CS lead, but also Twisted Fate's passive that gives you between 1 and 6 gold for every minion that you do kill. The bot lane, though, a sizable lead for Ice and Labrov. About 700, 800 across the two roles combined.
Jankos moving directly out of mid from base has a lot of options available for him. Void Grubs are coming up soon, his entire top side is available, and because bot lane is spacing, there's nothing to do down there as a jungler. Now, what I'm curious to see is how the teams utilize their support, because generally when there's an objective spawning, you always want to include your support, because if one team has the support there and the other don't, well, you know, the team that's outnumbers just simply has to give it up. And you can see it right here as well, both of them walking straight towards the Void Grubs. We even see a lane swap coming out of BDS, with Adam having his TP up very soon. And if Heretics don't quickly match it, which they're doing with Flakked, instantly realizing what's happening and walking cross map, well, they would have to give it up.
What's super interesting, because Flakked started pathing down towards the bottom lane, then when they saw it, they decided to react, but Adam is just in bot lane without TP. So if Heretics decide they want to invest all of their players up towards this top side, they do have a numbers advantage. Instead, Wunder's going down towards bot, does have Destiny. Adam's TP probably about 10 seconds away from coming back up. Sheo's going to start the grubs, Adam's going to get a plate in the bot lane. And looks much ado about nothing, as Heretics just match the push from BDS in the top lane. Nuke now TPing back into mid. Jankos is waiting in the wings, outside of where the vision would be from the Tribush, so he can go in with the paranoia. Now with Sviru moving across from the mid lane, I think that's what Heretics will use, the go signal. We have mid prio, let's play a 4v3 for the moment. But then Nuke can come across, and will BDS decide they want a little bit more of the action? Another grub secured, 3 for 2 so far. Likely to be 4 for 2 unless BDS overinvest in this.
And overall, BDS was generally on the same page. The main issue for them was that Nuke ended up basing and TPing back a little bit too late, giving Sviru a free mid. prio, and once he started moving, Nuke was catching a wave onto his turrets, and they can either decide if they want to stay and die, or just give it up. Now, Dragon is spawning soon. What we saw before was Ice and Labrov using the advantage they have in their matchup to quickly lane swap and forcing Heretics to match them. The same thing could very well happen here. They're going to base early, move directly to a spot. Flakked and Trimber are going to try to follow. And now Ice and Labrov, again, they're going to try to get the prio, try to get control of the river, and set themselves up for a really good Dragon fight.
Yeah. It's really interesting to see those sort of mid-game dynamics, or at least, you know, between 8 and 15-minute dynamics, because Wunder always gets the push against Adam. He always wins that out. Cassandre just can't match it. So if Wunder's into Adam, it's actually really good for Heretics, because he can either push and take plates like this, or he can push, move into the fog of war, and then there's always the threat of a Destiny coming across the map, whereas Ice and Labrov want to be matched into Flakked and Trimby because they're winning out on that push in isolation as well. Neither of the AD carries yet to get their static shiv. When that erupts for Flakked, when that is bought, it will become a lot easier for the Heretics bot lane to actually match the BDS bot lane. The Drake started, Adam's still in the top lane, smacking his Ntofus into a tower. There's the TP. Wunder's going to be a bit separated from Heretics here as Sheo dashes across the wall. BDS looking for the Drake. Nuke going in, there's the paranoia. Sheo going forward, and there's the damage as Adam helps Nuke secure the kill. Zeri has to be forced off towards the top side of the fight already. The Drake goes down as well, and it's Trimby that somehow gets it in the midst of it all. Shattering Strike paying dividends there for Heretics as they did lose their jungler, but managed to secure the objective.
Feels bad for Jankos. He had such a good early game, was in a really good position, but like we saw, once you get a wombo combos by the Sejuani and Orianna, it doesn't matter how healthy you are, your health bar is just going to disappear immediately.
Flash for flash burnt that in the bottom lane. I think Zeri might have been done a little bit earlier, but yeah. It's the fortune for Heretics, the coin coming up heads for them is that Trimby was able to secure the Drake. Because if they lose that as well, then you're 2 Drakes down and you lose the kill and you lose part of the ensuing fight. You can see Wunder here destinies to get behind and join up with his team, but Jankos just oversteps a tiny bit.
It was unfortunate for him as well, because you could see he popped the spell shield immediately as he walked up. It got procced, then he got hit by the CC and he was just dead right away. It's a very tough position for Heretics to be in, because their comp isn't really built for team fighting. Cassandre traditionally is going to be the stronger team fighter, whereas before the objective starts, you want to have your Twisted Fate already pushing outside, forcing somebody to respond, and then trying to create a number advantage, or just give up the dragon and get a tower in return. And this is something Heretics are going to have to be very mindful of in this game. Like, that's the entire idea behind the globals. Push side and either get picks or just, you know, respond and can try to get something more when the enemy team goes for an objective. Now, like you said, getting that dragon is really big, because they could potentially give up the next one if they're in a similar position and can't team fight.
Just delay the game by 5 minutes or so. Rift should be secured here by BDS. Doesn't really look like Heretics are reacting at all. Trimby just dancing around thinking, do I go? Do I want to place a ward here? Maybe I don't. Instead, maybe just waiting for the sweeper to come back up as he clears away these wards. Herald will be secured though for BDS. Sheo going for a build we're seeing a bit more popularity in. Often in the past we'd see a Barmy Cinder rush on a Sejuani into the Night's Vow, but generally, that's only about a second quicker, clearing your entire jungle if you get the Barmy Cinder and then go for the Night's Vow, and you're delaying your Night's Vow by about 1,000 gold. So here, straight Night's Vow rush into the Warden's Mail. No boots yet, cosplaying as Cassiopeia, but I'm sure he'll get some footwear in the end.
I think this is really a don't try this at home kind of build, because if you rush Night's Vow as a jungler, you put it on your AD carry, and in the team fight your AD carry walks into the melee range of the enemy bruiser and gets one shot, all of a sudden you're a little bit sad that all that gold went to waste.
I think just put it on your support.
On the support?
Yeah, there's no way a support would walk into the enemy team and just get ace like that, right? So,
talking from experience, or?
No, I played 7 solo queue games today and I lost 5 of them. So I don't think my experience is the same as most people's out there. But I do like Night's Vow. The 60-second CD on it as well means it doesn't just have to stick on the AD carry for the whole game, especially when the map is still relatively open like this, not everyone grouping up in a lane. You can go gank Adam's lane, put it on him. Go top, gank Nuke, who's facing off against someone, put it on him. At the moment, it is sitting on ice, and we'll see if Sheo decides to move it around as the game goes on.
So Dragon is up in a bit under 2 minutes. Now we're going to have to see what Heretics decides to do in order to put themselves in a better situation. Because like we saw in the previous fight, it's very easy and straightforward for BDS to go for the all-in, just play front to back, whereas Heretics have to get a little bit more creative. They can either try to brute force vision in the bot river right now, forcing BDS to face check them and then try to get a pick, or send Wunder top, keep him there, and just try to trade to get something more on top side.
I think a big problem for BDS, though, is you're playing into double static shivs Neeko. Like, no wave will survive for longer than about 5 seconds as soon as it crashes. So it's going to be very hard for them to actually force around anything that isn't just an objective. They do have the Rift Herald in pocket, so maybe they can use that to try and take down one of these towers, maybe waiting for the Drake to be up and then using that as a distractionary tactic. But overall, like you can see, Flakked, his static shiv has been nerfed. It still does 150 damage to minions, and Flakked can clear the rest of them up pretty easily. Wunder can do the same on a side lane, even if he's outnumbered. So the only way BDS can really manage to take turrets like this is by pulling Heretics around the map. And they've done that successfully. Wunder was waiting around his red buff, taking it away, and that will be BDS getting their first tower of the game.
Yeah, now Wunder immediately decides there's no point pushing the wave. He wants to move bot side immediately, trying to get control of mid, trying to get control of the river with his team so they can avoid giving up another dragon for free. Obviously Adam does have teleport available, so he can just start pushing top. And similarly to before, Heretics might be on a bit of a timer where, you know, they have to start the dragon early, pull them in, and see if they can find a good fight when they get, you know, engaged on and when BDS face checks.
It feels like it is one of the risks of playing the Twisted Fate. Destiny obviously has a very long range, but it's not map wide, and teleport is map wide. So if Adam is able just to push up and keep Wunder in this top lane, making Wunder answer the push, he can then move into the Fog of War and TP a lot further than Wunder is able to. Wunder now moving through his red buff side. BDS trying to set up around this Drake. They'll play on the mid wave first. There's the Rift Herald we talked about. Mid wave's crashing in about 5 seconds time. Flakked and Jankos trying to get back here to defend their mid tier 1, but the Rift Herald is charging in, down to half HP. And with Adam here, the hook landing onto Trimby, the tower falls. Zeri still pushing in the bot lane, but BDS will use that mid prio to now step into the river and try and clear out some of this vision. No wards behind the Drake pit that I can see. Oh, there is one just over the wall, so that's a good TP ward if Zeri is looking for a flank.
This is really smart play by BDS to regain control. Adam pushed out top all the way, forcing Wunder to respond. When Adam was near mid, without even using his teleport, they pop the Herald, take the turret, move into the river to gain full control, and now it's going to be a tough situation for Heretics, where they're going to have to re-enter and potentially get caught. Obviously having the Twisted Fate ult to assist them if necessary, but again, like walking into champions like Sejuani, Thresh is not an easy task.
Destiny out. Wunder looking to join up with this team, currently in the mid lane. Zeri down towards the bottom side, looking for that flank position. BDS do not have their flanks warded. Adam on the front line. There's the Paranoia. Zeri could just run in here. He's looking for it. Paranoia in. Glacial Prism used, but Zeri found the flank he was looking for and immediately dives onto ice. Jankos takes him out. Zeri able to survive, and what a perfect team fight from Heretics. Set up amazingly to find the fight. A quadra kill for Flakked, and BDS just get caught out overstepping.
That was so well played by Heretics. They knew that BDS had no vision on the bot side of the map. They had seen them around mid the entire time, so Zeri just instantly moves into the bot try, sneaks into the bush. Jankos uses the Nocturne ult, immediately making everything dark for BDS, and they basically had no way of responding to the Neeko play.
It was perfection. It was exactly what you want to do in this sort of situation. The ward behind the Dragon Pit helped Zeri know that he was safe to walk through here, but everything's dark. You're wearing a blindfold if you're BDS. How do you ever approach the fight?
And this is really the only play Heretics have to turn the fight around. If you walk directly into them without a flank or any element of surprise, it's going to go wrong. But they were on point. Zeri found the opening. Jankos, great engage. And, well, now all of a sudden they are a very fit Zeri, and they can actually team fight for real.
And they're 4,000 gold ahead. Flakked cracks his neck. He knows the job's not done, but it's basically halfway there now. Runan static shiv complete on the Zeri. Baron up in now. It was about 20 seconds ago it did spawn. They can look for more Drakes if they want, or they can just start cracking these tier 1s, set up a deeper vision line, which is what Jankos is doing right now alongside Trimby. The Baron can just be started. Heretics can call BDS's bluff. Nuke's in the bot lane. There's no vision around it. Wunder will do this exceptionally quickly, especially when Flakked's here to join the fray. Adam stepping forward, seeing perhaps if it has been started. Trimby looking for that flank again. We talk about the importance of flanks for Heretics. They get the TP out, and that was all they wanted from starting the Baron. They managed to pull out that summoner, and now Nuke doesn't have TP for the next 5 minutes.
Great play from them once again. They're one step ahead in terms of macro and how to, you know, regain control of the map. One TP down. Twisted Fate can now go bot, and even if he gets smashed by Kisande, he can start pressuring, push out bot, be first on the map, and the rest of Heretics can regain the control that they just lost now. Everybody coming out of base.
BDS, though, looking to call Heretics.
We go again.
Reset for the tempo. And you do often see this, right? Heretics started the Baron, invested their vision in it. You have to then reset to get more wards for Trimby and get more control wards. And BDS just say, okay, you guys are gone. We're just going to look for this right now, but with the Destiny out, the hook going in from Labrov as they try and dive in onto Wunder. He falls low, and he does get shut down. Stopwatch to block the ultimate. The Pop Blossom not there. Q3 from Adam as he dives in with the all-out, trying to kill off FLICKR, but they just can't get the damage down. And now with Adam falling, they don't really have a tank left. Sheo, left to his own devices, is forced away by Jankos, dashes the wall. Heretics get 2 more kills. Trimby can't quite land the tip of the spear, but currently everything's coming up. Team Heretics 7-2. Almost a 5,000 gold lead, and everything BDS is trying is just nullified by Heretics.
I love how BDS saw Heretics start the Baron, and they were like, well, that looks fun, let us try that as well. But unlike Heretics, they didn't really have any actual plan. I mean, sure, you found a pick on Wunder, but because you invested everything into killing him, look at Flakked in this fight. He's just sitting in the back, free hitting, nobody could do anything to him. And if you don't get on top of that Zeri, you essentially cannot win fights at this point.
He just invested everything. Like, it was the box, the Moonlight Vigil, the Shockwave, the Glacial Prism, only all out in terms of ultimates wasn't used to try and kill off Wunder there.
The thing is, that type of play can work if they do it earlier, but they were so slow at pulling the trigger that everybody from Heretics had already come out of base, had their power spikes, everybody full HP and mana, and there was just no real advantage to be found. When Heretics did it, it was only to get nuke to TP, they back off, and then they reset the map state.
Labrov has to burn the flash as Trimby's trying to chase him down. Hook goes in, but lands on the Shape Splitter. Adam's pushing in bot wave. He does have TP. I wonder who will be sent to answer him. Looks like it's Wunder. Destiny off cooldown in a couple of moments as well. It's going to only get it shorter in terms of cooldown as Wunder gets up towards level 16. And BDS left wanting really here in this early game. Has been a difficult split for them. I talked on the analyst desk a little bit about how they're starting to find their identity, but they're still struggling. A lot of their games have been very messy, falling behind in the early game, and then enemy teams overextending or giving a few kills to ice, meaning that BDS are able to fight back. You look at it, and right now Heretics would have to make a darn big mistake if BDS are going to be able to battle back in this one.
Well, it is a difficult position for BDS to be in right now, but if we are to look at them as a losing team and find the win con, it's really going to be all about how they set up their objectives and how they're able to play around nuke and ice. Their comp is really simple and easy to execute. It's just front to back. If ice can consistently hit for free, there's no real front line on Heretics. They're all just going to disappear. But, like we saw in the previous Dragon fight, if there's a flank or if there's any element that catches them off guard, then it's going to be a really tough time. Now, with Dragon coming up in 10 seconds, trying to get control of the mid wave is really key. Force the enemy team to respond, try to get control on either side of the river. BDS can either decide if they want to face check bot side and walk onto Heretics' vision, or instead try to pull them to Baron and get a fight on their own terms.
Looks like Baron is going to be the call. BDS starting it up. Wunder pushing in the bot lane, Adam answering him. Heretics will get mid lane prio. Instead, it was just a vision clear by BDS. Trimby and Zeri were looking for something, but they are in a warded bush. Now they realize it. Wunder still winning out on that bot lane 1v1. Rapid fire cannon as well makes it harder for Ice to survive through fights because you always have the risk of just a flash long-range gold card. And while all of this is happening, Trimby still able to clear out vision in the Baron pit while his jungle is doing Drake. BDS are playing so scared, so on the back foot. It makes sense because there are so many threats to their backline. All it takes is a Destiny Paranoia or a Pop Blossom and you're pretty much doomed. Wunder takes the tower, 700 gold in his back pocket, a 3.4k gold lead for the Twisted Fate. Part of that is cheating. He likes to rig the game a little bit, does Twisted Fate, with getting the extra gold from CS, but he's almost 100 CS up, almost has that Flame Horizon.
And we saw what happened bot there. Adam is basically praying for his team to force a fight and get him out of this miserable situation, because if he's laning 1v1 against Wunder, it's just a matter of time before Wunder is starting to take Nexus turrets instead. And it's tricky, right? Because You can just force a Baron for fun. We saw how that went for them. It's not essentially the greatest call. Or you can commit to the defensive approach, but then you have to find a zone that you want to fight in. Like, you have to set up pink wards defensively in your jungle. When Heretics walk in to try to clear, you just need to pull the trigger, go on them, try to catch them off guard, and get a fight started on your own terms.
It does feel a little bit like BDS have to force a play, even if they aren't going all in on it, just to get a paranoia out or a pop blossom out. Like, desync some of these cooldowns on the ultimates, because then you don't have to deal with all of them in the next fight. Because that's really the major issue that they're having, is when Heretics layer well, which they have been doing very well in this game, BDS just can't survive it. So if you can get the paranoia out, or if you can get a pop blossom out, or even if you can get like a magnet storm out, it then becomes a little bit easier. There's one less thing for Ice to think about in the fight, one less thing for Nuke to dodge in the next battle. Right now, Heretics playing it patiently. They've set up the vision. They are one Drake away from Cloud Soul. That's up in 3 minutes. They have these deep wards in here. Sheo and Labrov were on a ward. FLICKR kind of reveals that a little bit with the Ultra Shock laser, but the Lantern should be able to get Sheo out. Instead, the Magnet Storm stops him in his tracks. Shockwave only pulls back one as the hook's going in as well. There's the paranoia. Nuke force low. Adam on the front line. He's trying to get the hell out of there. He manages to dodge away. What do we get in terms of ultimates? Well, Shockwave was used, so was Glacial Prison. And the Paranoia and Destiny invested alongside that Magnet Storm. Maybe BDS feel that now they can find a fight, as Ice has okay guns for it. Adam trying to get in from the side. Labrov looking for those hooks, fishing. But currently, all that's coming up are old boots. No tasty carp or a nice place for him to put on the dinner mat. Continues to look for them, dodges the Tangle Barbs. BDS have been able to force Heretics back into their own jungle, but health-wise, Heretics are still very happy. Again, the Baron started by BDS, trying to call Heretics to the battle. Paranoia, still half of its cooldown left. The Pop Blossom, though, available for Zeri. Sheo on the Baron, down to half HP. Adam at a third. Wunder coming in. Oh, Adam gets knocked up. Oh, Adam! Oh, the Baron's on Heretics' side. He doesn't want BDS to win today. Whatever god they've been praying to, the Heretics are apostates and do not care. The fight continues as Wunder falls low. Ice trying to get away with the cleanse, has a Lantern but can't get on top of it, and Heretics clean it up again. It's gonna be a 5-for-1 fight here as Jankos pops the spell shield. Labrov tries to get himself away. Doesn't matter. Jankos isn't needed at the Baron. They don't need his smite. Sheo's dead, and Heretics once again win out the battle.
That was kind of sad, I'm not gonna lie. That was really sad to watch. I think generally Heretics have the right idea, setting up around the Baron. Right when they're looking for the turn, Adam unfortunately gets knocked up, immediately dies. But I think even then, the problem was that by the time they actually turned, sure, Baron was still only at half HP, but Adam was really low, and they just gave Heretics too much space to really walk into them. You have to somehow force them to come in really close, look for an engage over a wall, perhaps have your Thresh go fishing and finding a hook. But if you don't pull the trigger quickly, especially now where Baron actually deals a truckload of damage, it's a really tough time.
Yeah. We talked about it, like, as we saw the team, as we saw BDS push into that red side jungle, it's like, well, they're actually very low on HP, and so Heretics could just wait, reset, and look for more of the fight. Flakked now 7-0 on the Zeri, 3 items complete. Zeri has the Crypt Bloom as well, and Dragon up in 40 seconds. BDS don't really have a foot to stand on, don't have a leg to find their way back into this battle. They say every journey starts with a single step. Well, apparently that step's got to be a pretty mighty big one if BDS are going to find anything out of this. Heretics in such fine form, 3-2 so far. Such a change up as well from where they were in winter. The Destiny in behind Adam. Glacial Prism used on Wunder, but I think Sheo's just delaying the inevitable. Wunder, he wants that gold, he placed the bet, and he wants it to pay off. Adam just about survives. Jankos caught up towards the top side as Zeri looking for something as well. In the end, Adam is forced away, pops the all-out for it. Glacial Prison used, Dragon up in no time at all. Baron remains for a minute and a half, but I think Heretics have their eyes on that soul.
And I think this was a pretty smart play by Heretics. You could see BDS was expecting them to just go for the Dragon. Adam was moving towards top, wanting to push out the wave, but because Heretics took their time, well, all of a sudden you're in a situation where you're getting caught. And I think now for BDS it's really tricky. Like, they have to look for a pick, they have to try to get a fight started one way or the other, because if this comp gets set up into their 1-3-1, pushing in everywhere, it's going to be so hard for you to make a play. And I think what they're doing here is really smart. Try to defend your jungle, try to be ready to engage when Heretics walks in, because you're not going to get a chance much better than this.
The only benefit for BDS is these waves aren't as synced as they could be. Spyro's just about to go up towards the top side to push out that wave. Bot lane was answered by Adam as Wunder shoved it in. It looks like they're playing for the top lane tier 2. You know, use Wunder in the mid lane to generate pressure, bring the rest of Heretics across it. Heretics don't think they can crack the base off this Baron. There's only 30 seconds left on it. If they do, if they find a good fight, all power to them. But I think their expectations are that they'll be waiting a few more moments before they can actually close out this game.
They're playing very slow and patient. We've seen a lot of teams in the LEC throw their leads with poor macro decisions, so I really respect them just taking a step back, playing as slow as possible, and not giving BDS any chances to come back. Because really at this point, with a gold lead over 10k, it's not so much about BDS winning the game, it's about Heretics deciding whether they want to close it out or give them a chance.
There's a control ward behind them, just where Flakked is about to walk, so there's a TP possibility, but who's like Adam could TP in there, but he's just been melted by the entirety of Heretics before. Nuke could go in as well, but a flanking shockwave isn't really the deadliest thing I can think of as the paranoia comes out. Heretics laid the trap and Nuke fell right into it. The stopwatch will buy him a second, but it's the only gold he's seeing this game. He's looking for silver at best. Heretics descend, and BDS can do nothing about it. Adam, unable to do anything. Ice gonna get shut down. Wunder continues to rain hell down on Adam. Sheo and Adam, the last two standing, as Trimby continues to tank up the towers. Wunder following suit. He'll just about survive, as will Trimby. The wave pushing in the mid lane will be here in time to save the many blushes.
They got impatient, Medic. All they have to do is sit in their base and just farm up for a while until Baron is about to spawn. I think if they had just waited a little longer, Heretics would probably have based, and then you can take control of the river and try to catch them when they walk in. But here we are. They went a little bit too fast, got caught, and all of a sudden the game just ends pretty quickly.
And so much credit to Heretics as well. This was a cleanly executed start to finish game.
Very good
it's
macro.
not often we see that from Heretics. Incredible performance by them as they go to 4-2, tied in wins with the top of the standings. And it was just macro intelligence, mechanical intelligence, and excellence all round.
This is the type of play you would expect with so many strong veterans in a team, right? They got a small lead, but that lead just extended, you know, slowly got 1,000 gold and another 1,000, all of a sudden they're 10k up. And with the way they were rotating and always being near each other, BDS had no chances to do absolutely anything. Sure, they could have played a little slower, they could have been more patient. They usually face checked and went forward at the wrong times, but it's always easy to say that from the outside. For them, the map was completely dark, and it was
even darker.
It was just a matter of time before they made mistakes, right?
Yeah, you can vote for one of the Heretics players and your Kia player of the game at LEC on X. Jankos, Zeri, or Flakked are your options. We'll be right back after this short break. Don't you dare go anywhere.
Red Bull gives you wings.